Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey guys, welcome to Civil Gore, episode 11.
Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You notice I'm talking with a bit of an accent. It's because I'm a little under the weather, so instead of my usual imbibing a craft beer, I'm actually drinking a nice cup of Yorkshire tea, introduced to us by our good friend Matt, who is from Yorkshire, and he has invited us to share in his tea culture with him. And so that's why I will be doing this for the next 30 seconds. And don't worry, I will change the accent once we start the show.
You got me. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I saved that for Tim. I did not tell him I was going to do that. I did tell him I was drinking the tea, but I did not tell him I was going to do a horrible, horrible British accent.
I thought you were doing Michael Caine there for a second. I was like, oh, Michael Caine's on the show.
Michael Caine? If you say Michael Caine, right? You say Michael Caine. But that whole joke. Yeah, and sorry, Matt, by the way. I know I did not do your accent justice, but I do love your tea.
Yeah, it is very good tea.
Yes. And
I am drinking a Golden Monkey by Victory Brewing, a really, really good triple. And that is in honor of Mr. King Kong, who I had the pleasure of seeing this past weekend, on the big movie screen.
Oh, that's right. You finally got to see it.
Finally got to see it. It was about to go off. We hit it on the last day before it was supposed to leave the theater, so I'm really glad I got to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, you got to see that on the big screen.
Yeah, I loved it. It was really, really good. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't classify it horror per se, because it's definitely much more in the adventure fantasy realm, but I really enjoyed it.
I mean, what did you think, though, of the scope of that movie? How cool it looked when he's just, like, standing there, the size and the helicopters are swarming around him like that. I just love that whole sequence.
Yeah, I love monster movies in general, and the CGI was really, really good. I am a Peter Jackson King Kong apologist. I really actually like that one, even when other people didn't. But I am kind of glad that they went away from the heavy epic. I don't know how to explain it, but Peter Jackson was a little more heavy-handed, I guess. And this one was just straight up, we're just going to make an action, fun monster movie without all the trappings of the romance and all that kind of stuff. So I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was really very basic character development in it. I mean, you got the idea of who was who and what they were there for and everything, and it was just like, but it just moved along, and it was action-packed, and yeah, no, I can't wait till it actually comes out for home release, because I know I'm going to watch that a lot. And how good was John C. Reilly?
Yeah, he stole the movie pretty much.
As he does so many times, but this one was just like so perfect for that role.
So in our first chop this week, I wanted to start off by saying I really knocked out a bunch of movies this weekend. I was telling Brian earlier, I've got a little game I play, and it's called Backlog Roulette. And so you guys know about my backlog project, where I'm trying to get through all my movies before I buy a bunch of new ones. So I was getting a little bored with trying to select which movie to watch. And I didn't want to do them in alphabetical order or anything like that. So what I did is came up with a scheme where I assigned a number to each movie. And this is going to show what a spreadsheet nerd I am. But I assigned a number to each movie, and then I run a random number generator, and that selects my movie for me, good or bad. And this week's selection was really bad.
Yeah.
The one I'm doing now is Night of the Demons, and not the classic Night of the Demons. I'm talking about the 2009 remake.
Not the good one.
No, Shannon Elizabeth and Edward Furlong, and I've never seen a movie with so much lesbianism that was so boring.
Really? Wow.
That takes some talent. But I did knock out some better movies this weekend. I can't say all of them were fantastic, but the first ones I knocked out was my Hostel and Hostel 2 double feature. And I was kind of interested to get back to these because I had not seen or had not rewatched these in quite some time. And I was curious to see if they still held up, because those came out at the time when the whole torture porn fad was really, really going mainstream. And I was curious to see if the effects and stuff still held up today, if it was as shocking today as it was back then. And as far as the original Hostel goes, I would say no. I remember really loving that movie when it came out, and now it seems kind of tame by comparison.
Yeah, but at the time, you're right. It was pretty.
Yeah, I remember it was
shocking.
just crazy at the time, but I didn't find it. I didn't enjoy it near as much this time around. Now, I will say, however, that Hostel 2 I actually liked better this time than I did back when I first saw it. And granted, when I first saw Hostel 2, it was probably a couple years after Hostel. I didn't see it as soon as it came out, which was kind of a shame because it has a lot of nods to the first movie and a lot of recognizable faces. So when I watched them back to back in the double feature, I kind of caught on to all that, which made it more enjoyable. But I think it's just a better movie. It's one of the rare cases where I think the sequel's better than the original.
Is that the one? The second one was the one where they kept saying Nostrovio or whatever, right? Or something like the girl is from Nostrovio, or
yeah, it's the one with the girls, and I think the girls as the main characters works better because they're more vulnerable.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that to be sexist. I mean just in general, you feel more sympathy for like a girl in a foreign country. Seems like a more vulnerable situation than the first movie where the guys are just out there trying to get laid. They're not very likable.
Yeah, they're kind of cocky and they're just almost like not that they deserve what happens, but they don't deserve anything really good either.
Yeah, so I felt a lot more sympathy to the girls in the second movie, and I think that worked better. And I also knocked out the Friday the 13th remake from 2009, and I think I'd mentioned on the show before that I really liked this one when it came out in the theaters. Did not like it as much on a rewatch with the passage of time. And I think, maybe part of my love for it in the theater was that it was a new Friday the 13th movie and I saw it in the theater with a good crowd.
I was just going to say, that's why I loved it so much too the first time.
Yeah, watching it back on video, I'm like, it was okay. And I still say that it's better than a lot of the big remakes we've had, like Nightmare on Elm Street remake was terrible.
Oh, yeah, that was...
I'm back and forth whether I'd put it over Halloween. I would probably put it over the Texas Chainsaw remake, but didn't like it as much as I did the first time around. It's got some good kills and stuff in it, but overall, not as impressive as I originally thought.
Yeah, I kind of there were things I liked about it, and a couple of things I didn't. They changing the Jason mythology a little bit, kind of. What like most remakes do, they have to add some major twist to it, and Rob Zombie, kind of for Halloween, at least he kind of, he added his signature kind of stamp to it a little bit. But yeah, the Friday the 13th one, it was just kind of they just kind of changed Jason in some way that kind of gave him too much.
Yeah.
I don't know, too much humanity, I guess, at some level. But...
Yeah, and I guess I didn't pick up on that as much the first time I saw it. And I picked up on it more this time, and that's kind of what colored my view of it, I believe, is I really didn't like that aspect of it. And then the last one I checked out was the original 1931 Frankenstein, which I've seen many, many times. So, but again, when I watch my Blu-rays for this backlog project, I always watch the movie without any distractions, no commentaries, nothing, at least through one time, just to say that I've watched the film by itself. And it's a short film. It doesn't even run an hour and a half, so it's easy to get through. But it had 2 really good commentaries on it, and some really good features. It had like a 45-minute Boris Karloff documentary. It had another hour and a half documentary about the movie itself, and then even another hour and a half documentary about Universal horror in general.
Oh, that's
covered
cool.
all the movies. So really, really fun disc, and it was part of that big Frankenstein Legacy collection. So I've still got a lot of other movies in that disc, in that set.
Yeah, I got
go through.
I got to start picking those up. I think there's a Mummy one coming out soon.
Yeah, there's the Dracula's already out. The Mummy one's coming out. I'm hoping. I don't know if there already is or if they're coming out with the Creature from the Black Lagoon, because I really want that.
Oh,
one,
they better,
obviously.
for your sake. Jeez.
Yeah, that's one of my. For those who don't know, that's one of my absolutely favorite Universal horror movies.
And his love of that actually got him a trophy a year later.
Yep. That's the one I designed to ride around for the Coast Radio Real Design Contest.
Yes.
So those were what I knocked out. And I've got a couple other things to talk about, but I'll let Brian tell us what he watched this weekend.
Yeah, so I watched a couple of things. I on the side, I started to watch the Twin Peaks that I had mentioned. I realize now I actually have a little more time. I thought I had to kind of rush those in, but it's actually it's somewhere May 22nd, I think, or something like that. I thought I had to the 7th. So now I have a little time. So I'm about like, I think I watched the pilot and then first 4 episodes. So I'm on my way through, so I should finish by the time the new series comes out. But in between, I watched some, something off of Shudder, which was called We Are the Flesh, which was a Shudder exclusive apparently. And it had a lot of, I guess, hype going into it. And this movie was really, really odd. I have to say I don't quite sure still if I understood everything that was going on, but the basic premise is I assume it's in almost like this post-apocalyptic time period, and this brother and sister kind of stumble upon this guy's place where I guess he gives him food and shelter, and he's definitely lost his mind. This guy's crazy, and kind of in return for them being sheltered and fed, he kind of asks them to do weird things. Like he has them make this. The basic one is he has them make this giant cocoon type of thing. Constantly taping things. The thing is, I was a little tired when I watched this, but I definitely saved through the whole thing. So, but then, I mean, it got really dark and twisted at one point where he would basically get turned on by watching the brother and sister have sex, and it really is like part porn, as I put on here, because I mean, there's some extreme close-ups of genitalia. There's, no
vagiballs.
No, yeah, no vagiballs. You don't actually see penetration, but you do see the guy kind of to put it bluntly, take care of himself and finish. So, yeah, it was pretty shocking. I didn't expect, you see nowadays you expect it, to be these simulated acts and cutaways, but there was not. And so, yeah, and it kept getting twisted and twisted. And at some point, I guess he's reborn again now as like a younger guy at one point, and then it just ends with this massive orgy. I don't know. Like, part of me thinks they took a chunk out of this movie. I missed something. I don't know what happened.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, you got to get it, because I maybe you can explain it to me, because I'm still trying to figure it out. And there's such shocking scenes that I think it almost like mentally, maybe it was like trying to process that while other things were happening that had me miss what was going on. But that said, yeah, so that's an interesting one, but you should watch it. I mean, it's got some good shots. Like, the cinematography is actually pretty good in it. So, and I believe it's from Mexico it was made. So, but it's really, really good cinematography and stuff. And yeah, it's interesting. I definitely think you gotta give it a watch. The second one I watched, this was on Amazon Prime for free. It was one of those movies you get for free. It was called Dark Forest, and I see a lot of promotion on Twitter, and I really wanted to get to see this. It's kind of an 80s slasher type thing. You could definitely tell there's a lot of influence from Friday the 13th. But basically it's about a boyfriend, the boyfriend of this girl who gets, I guess they get into this big argument. She leaves him, and so she goes off to have a weekend with her friends, and he kind of like goes unhinged and goes to go after her and basically kills everyone in his path. So it's like, I mean, at that part you kind of lose obviously the suspense, because you know who the killer is throughout the whole thing. But I mean, there's definitely some moments that could have been done a lot better. The acting isn't horrible. It's I think, and it's shot okay. It's just, I think there's a couple of it almost seems like, when you have, I mean, being doing video editing myself in the past, there's a point where you want to definitely cut a scene, and I think it's almost like they waited a couple of seconds too long for some scenes where they delivered the line, and it almost looked like they were waiting for someone to say cut. That
yeah.
Kind of that. But I mean, I definitely the group that made this thing. I definitely think they have. I'm definitely interested to see other things, because they definitely have a good foundation here, and they definitely know horror, because they have a good formula, it seems like. And there was actually one really cool kill, which I'll save for you to watch. It was basically a double kill, and it'll kind of remind you a little bit of a scene from Friday the 13th, but it's just really cool, and that was actually one of my favorite moments. But still, it was pretty. So even though they actually, that killed the best looking girl in the movie, but so she didn't get to be in through the whole thing. But anyway, so it's interesting. I would definitely give it a watch. It's definitely worth watching, especially if you like that 80s slasher type film.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I also here I am talking about my backlog, and then I'm going to talk about the 2 movies I picked up.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I do have my limits as to what kind of sale prices I can resist, and these 2 I couldn't resist. So I picked up 2 Hammer horror double features. One has Revenge of Frankenstein and Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, and the other has The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll and The Gorgon. And I absolutely love Hammer horror films, and part of the reason for that, and I wanted to talk about it on this first chop, is a book that I received back in the early 80s when I was just a young tyke. And this book is actually from the 70s, early 70s. And I think a friend of my mom's gave it to me for whatever reason. Why she gave a 6-year-old a horror movie book, I don't know. But it's called The Movie Treasury Horror Movies, Tales of Terror in the Cinema. And it's by Alan G. Frank. And I can't remember the exact date, but I know it was pre-Exorcist.
Oh, wow.
So there's nothing about The Exorcist in this book. So it hasn't been influenced by that movie, which I think is interesting because every horror book has been influenced by that movie. And it's definitely got I believe it might have been British author, because almost all the movies in here are British in origin, or lots of Hammer horror and stuff. And it's just chock full of these crazy pictures and stills from the movie. So as a kid, even though I really didn't understand the words, I would go through and just be in fascination of these really, really cool pictures that were in this book. I lost the book when I was a kid, and I only remembered that the jacket, not even the jacket, I didn't even have the actual book jacket for it. I only had the hardcover, but the hardcover was embossed with these skeletal people riding skeletal horses. And I always remembered that. And so I would look for, every now and again, I would think about it, and I would try to find this book, and I never could find it. And then one day I just with a, I sat there for like an hour Googling, trying to find and track down this book. And I actually finally found it and ordered it off eBay, and now have it in my hands. And I'll post some pictures on Instagram of it, but it is a freaking awesome book. I can't wait for you to see it when you come down, Brian.
Yeah, no, I want to see that. That sounds really cool.
But I think you'll really like it. So that's where my love of Hammer horror came from. So yep. So I'm looking forward to those discs, and no features or anything. It's just bare bones. But just like the Psycho Circus disc, I really, really love that one. So I'm sure these will be just as fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always need a ton of special features. I mean, it's nice, and I'm a sucker for them when they load them up there. But sometimes it's fine to just get the movie if you can get it at such a good price point like that.
So we had some big game news this week.
Yeah, it seemed like, and of course it couldn't have been more of an inconvenient time, the first one, for Tim and I. We would be in the middle of our coaster trips there, but yeah, so Friday the 13th, the game, the long-awaited game, finally got its release date. So May 26th, it is coming out. The single-player mode, which was actually helped by the Kickstarter campaign, that's going to come out in Q3. So you won't get the game, you won't get the single-player game right away, but that's fine, because I think the meat of this game is that multiplayer game. I mean, just think Call of Duty, but with Jason. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, and I actually did not know they were doing a single player, so I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's a bonus, because I didn't even know that was even part of the game.
Yeah, it wasn't originally. It was originally meant to be... I mean, we'll go into this game. I think we'll definitely dedicate a segment to this episode once Tim and I get a chance to really play this for a while. But, just to touch on it, originally was another game altogether, and I guess... they negotiated they got the Friday the 13th rights and just changed this game, which was just a regular kind of slasher camp game, into the Friday the 13th game. And as soon as it came out, everyone was wanting, I want a single player. And so, through their Kickstarter, they said, well, if we reach this amount, we can add the single player campaign, and they got it. So that'll be, I mean, I think that'll be a fun element, but like I said, how much fun will that be? Playing that game, and one person's Jason, the other people running away, and it's just like, I mean, I've been dreaming of this game forever, essentially, since that, and I used to play the terrible Nintendo one over and over again, just hoping.
Oh yeah.
That someday.
Well, we used to play this out in the woods, like for real. We had a hockey mask and we had an actual real machete.
Oh,
and
nice.
we had some woods out near our house, and one of us would be Jason with the hockey mask and the machete, and we would stalk the other people through the woods, and that was pretty terrifying.
You see, now that's what they should start doing. Instead of like these, they have these paintball things. Why not like slasher?
Oh yeah, I would
parties?
pay for that.
That
I would
would me
definitely
too.
do that.
Okay, by the way, don't steal that if you guys out there hear that idea. That while I'm saying this, I'm typing into my lawyer right now to secure the rights to that idea that Tim and I just came up with.
What is that? Is that our fifth Kickstarter?
Yeah,
we've come up with so far.
Fifth Kickstarter. It'll hopefully be funded by the other four. We'll get some profits and then move them on. See, we just keep continuing to give. Is what we want to do. And the next one, actually, this was a friend of mine. I'm going to give a shout out to my good friend Steve Cohn. Texted me this today. The old game for Sega CD, Night Trap, which I'm sure you guys all remember that with Dana Plato starred in it. It was that CD craze when this was a big deal to have live action video on a game, and it was even with the Sega CD. I remember it was like that grainy quality that was just accepted for that time.
I was one of the 10 people that had a Sega CD.
Well, then I'm 11.
Yeah, because I remember I traded in my Genesis and all my Genesis games just to get the Sega CD, Night Trap, Sewer Shark.
Oh, Sewer Shark.
And I think one other game, and I was like, maybe it was Sherlock Holmes. There was a Sherlock Holmes game for it.
Yes, there was. That's right.
That was probably my most ill-advised console purchase, but in hindsight, it's kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, well, no, the embarrassing point was that my brothers and I somehow we own that Crisscross make your own video game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I still have song where we missed the bus. That thing in our heads forever. It's become like a family joke because at that point I was so excited to have any kind of game that why we owned that game was just what a mistake that was. But yeah, Night Trap I used to. As bad as it was as like a kind of a game, I was just obsessed with the thing because I loved the fact that it was like it had that hard. And I remember I finally I think I revisited when I was early, I guess, in the infancy of the internet, where someone had posted where all the times you can get like in some kind of Usenet group, I guess, where you knew where to go. So it was basically like one of the early walkthroughs kind of a thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I remember I sat there and I with a VCR recorded it, which is so ironic. Think about it. I'm taking a CD and I'm recording it to a VCR, but the completion, the whole view of that game, which if you play the game through like that, you miss half the scenes sometimes. But
yeah.
So I would purposely then like play through the scenes, even though I knew I was going to lose, just so I can get all the sequences in there. But yeah, I was obsessed with that game, and I kept playing until I got through the whole thing. And it even had that horrible 80s music montage song in there where the girls
I kind of want this just to see.
Oh, I'm buying it. I guarantee you. I'm definitely going to buy it. It's limited. Supposedly it's going to come out in the spring at some point. They're only making limited copies because I think there was a failed Kickstarter campaign in 2014. You rarely hear about Kickstarters failing like that, but this one failed. But somehow I guess they got the release. I literally just found out about this afternoon and popped it in the rundown because I figured we were already talking about the Friday the 13th game. This one went kind of hand in hand. So yeah, it's going to be a limited release of physical copies to this game. So yeah, I definitely think I need to purchase this thing just for the nostalgia sake of this.
Well, let's run through the dismemberment fairly quickly because we need to get to the convention recap, which I'm really looking forward to. So these are the Blu-ray releases for May 2nd. We have a couple of big releases and a lot of not so big releases. First up is Pandemic 2016. Rachel Nichols stars as a doctor searching for survivors in a post-virus apocalyptic America. I don't know much about that one, but I'm kind of over the whole post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah, there's too many of these things already.
Yeah.
Everything's a post-apocalyptic. It's like, I mean, I know everything gets overdone at some point, but it seems like this one is they stand out like a sore thumb. These post-apocalyptic things.
Now, the next one, on the other hand, I've got to see. Hunting Grounds 2015. Starring Bill Oberst Jr., a hunting group runs into a tribe of Sasquatch.
Yeah, that is a Tim movie.
That's a Tim movie.
Yep.
It's got Sasquatch in it. done. The Windmill 2016, Patrick Bellotti. My usual murder of names.
Yeah.
Tourist group seeks shelter in Dutch windmill once owned by devil worshipper.
How big is this windmill?
Yeah, you got to watch out for those Dutch Satan worshippers.
Yeah, I you know what, I could probably think of a better joke for that. I think I'm so confused at the
That's
premise.
another genre. That's another genre that's been overdone.
Yeah, the Dutch windmill one.
Yeah, the Dutch windmill Satan worshippers.
Yeah. Maybe it takes place in Solvang. They have all that whole Dutch community out there. I don't know if you've been there, but in California, the whole thing is like a Dutch town. It's kind of cool. But
the next one up is Beyond the Gates, Graham Skipper, 2016. A trio gets sucked into a board game, which I put on the notes, horror Jumanji.
Yeah. Wow, this sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched the trailer. I couldn't really tell if that was really cool or really bad. I can't tell. And then I'm going to skip sequence real quick. Virus, 1999, a Jamie Lee Curtis and William Baldwin vehicle.
Oh, that one, Virus. Okay. You know what? I looked up at the same time, and I saw it say 2016. So I thought it was something different, but that's the other movie we skipped. Okay.
Yeah, alien life form on a Russian tugboat. I never saw that one. I don't believe. I don't remember it.
This is an odd week for physical areas. I mean, we got a Dutch windmill, a Russian tugboat.
Yeah. I'll stay with the Sasquatch.
Yeah, I think that you should. That's better time spent.
The next two I'm actually looking forward to. Well, actually, one of them I've already seen, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which came out last year, which stars Brian Cox. That's a great movie. Did you see that one, Brian?
No, I didn't actually, and I remember hearing about it, but I kind of like forgot that it was there. So I'm actually gonna have to look into this one when it comes out.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool movie. I'm probably going to pick that one up. I don't want to talk too much about it because that might be one we cover later on.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And then Rings from 2017, starring Johnny Galecki from Big Bang Theory. But this, of course, is the follow-up to the... I don't know, it was Ring 2, I guess, was the sequel.
Yeah, and this may be known in the horror community as the movie that destroyed the Friday the 13th production. Supposedly, there was the rumor going around that this did so poorly that they canceled the Friday the 13th one.
Which would be a real shame because Rings fans and Friday the 13th fans are not on the same level.
No, they're not. And you know what? I definitely want to. I look forward to this because I saw that opening scene when they posted on the internet where the whole plane goes down. That looked really cool to me. So it's like I was willing to give it a shot, and it was out of the theater before I could even blink.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. I like that franchise. It's just that I think I just question the timing of coming out with this Asian horror thing at this time when that was kind of overdone in the 90s. It's just kind of a weird time for it to come back. I don't know. I think that might have had something to do with the poor performance.
Yeah, yeah, for them to think it was horror related, because especially when Get Out did so well. So obviously there's still a craving for a horror movie if it's good quality. So why they thought that would, I think that was just an excuse.
Yeah, so we have a few theatrical releases for April 28th, and there's three. There's one that I'm actually really looking forward to, and that is called A Dark Song. It's about a young woman and an occultist teaming up to do a ritual that will give them whatever they want. And this one's gotten really, really good buzz. Good early reviews. I definitely want to check this one out. I think there's some question as to whether the ritual is actually working or if they're going insane. It's kind of a psychological thing going on there.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. The other ones we have are The Black Room, starring Species favorite Natasha Henstridge. And this is about a couple moving into their dream home, and they discover a black room in the basement. Never go down in the basement.
Yeah.
In your dream home.
And it's not that I'm not intrigued by this movie, but how many times does that happen? You're right. It's like every time his family always finds their dream home, there's always something in the basement.
Yeah. So, and then the last one, I really could not find much about this movie. It's called Seven Witches, and I put this actress's name in here just because I thought it was so awesome. Persephone Apostolou.
Yeah, did we mention her before? Because I'm looking at this now, and the name looked familiar.
I don't know, but that's an awesome name.
It is. And just a funny the thing, I used to, when I was a kid and I saw that name, I thought it was Persephone.
I did too.
Yeah.
Well, I used to think Penelope was Penelope.
Oh yeah, see, that makes sense too. What's with those long P names?
I don't know, but the IMDb rundown for this one was literally a horror film set at a wedding.
Interesting.
I was like, well, I tried to find a trailer. I don't know, maybe I just didn't look hard enough, but I couldn't find anything about this movie.
And apparently there's probably 7 witches.
That's a good guess, yeah.
Yeah, unless they want to totally throw one over our eyes and throw an 8th one in there, and that's the twist.
That's the twist.
Yeah.
Surprise, it's an 8th witch.
Yeah. Maybe that's Persephone. She's the 8th witch.
So, I am dying to hear about your weekend at the Chiller convention.
Yeah, so this was fun. I hadn't been to the Chiller in years, and it's funny because it claimed to be in a new location, but I think it's the last location I was at. It seems to move a couple times. It used to be at the first couple of years I went to it. It was always at the same hotel, and it definitely seemed like they kind of outgrew it. So they moved to this bigger hotel, and they make the use of the space, except it still gets crowded at times. So, but I'll go into that a little bit later. So it was at the Hilton in Parsippany, New Jersey. And so basically it's set up, the way they have this set up is almost like they basically take over every possible room. They had like the whole lobby and bar area set up with some of the celebrities. Like I think some of the bigger name celebrities that they felt would have the big crowds were set up there. Like George Hamilton was there. Barbara Hershey was set up in there. Flava Flav was there. The oddly placed Perfect Strangers reunion with Marklyn Baker.
Please tell me you went by that.
I went by it. I didn't go to it because it was a crowd, and too much of a crowd to really get up to it. But I could see it from afar, and it just seems so out of place at a horror convention. I mean, I know they kind of do it. They call it the Chiller Theater Expo. Toy and horror convention. There's a lot of toys, but
they missed an opportunity for a mashup. They could have done the Perfect Strangers things.
Oh, yes. See, and I could, you know what? See, now I regret not thinking of that before I went, because I should have went up there and had them sign like a Stranger Things thing. And it was funny because some of the kids, a couple of people from Stranger Things were there. It was like, no offense to them, it was like the lower group. It was, I think it was like the I don't know, one of the bullies' friends or something. I don't recognize them. But
hey, you got to pay the bills somehow.
Right. So they were there, but yeah, that would have been. So if not, we need to come up. But that should be our 7th Kickstarter or 6th Kickstarter. Yeah. We'll make Perfect Stranger Things. So I mean, obviously they're available to do that if they were hanging out at this convention all weekend. But it was just, now the picture of this room. Though I'm just going to tell you, if you put someone in this room and you spin around, you would have no idea where you are, because you look one way, you see Barbara Hershey. Turn, and then there's George Hamilton, love at first bite, who's still as tan as ever. Turn over a little bit more, you see Tom Berenger. Then, if you spin around, that's where the Perfect Strangers, Marklyn Baker and Bronson Pinchot are. And then turn around a little bit more, and there's Flava Flav. So I think there was a couple other people like mixed in there, but I mean, it's like if you like blindfolded me and just stuck me in the middle, I'd be like, where the heck am I? What kind of show is this? And there's some really good cosplay there too, so that's walking around, so I mean, I think there must have been there were Negans from Walking Dead of all shapes and sizes. I gotta post this picture. Actually, I did not. It was just a little kid dressed up as Negan. It was really cute, and I have a picture of him. Yeah, I went with my brother Seth, and he has him like hitting him over the head with the bat. The bat has a name, right? I'm not a Walking Dead.
Lucille. Yeah,
Lucille. Okay. Yeah, so I apologize out there.
Yeah, I've got a Walking Dead shirt that came out of Loot Crate that says Negan Sluggers on it.
Oh, I think I've seen that on some. Yeah, I've seen that on some site or something was selling that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Yeah, so there was a lot of cosplay with that, and I'll go into another thing later about that. But so you got that there, and then every they have meeting rooms at the hotels, little tiny rooms. They're all named at this hotel, kind of named after elements. Like there's a zinc room, the silver room, stuff like that. So and that's where they have the different. They also have celebrity. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. I know Tom Savini was kind of in there with just a couple other people, so he had a good room. It was easy to get into, and he kind of had the whole back wall. You can kind of see in the picture I posted on Instagram of me and him, where you could see the background. There was this just massive poster of him that said Tom Savini on it, so that was kind of cool. And there's a hallway that kind of leads to all the different rooms into that main lobby area, and that has a couple of cool booths with collectibles. And then there's one massive room with aisles of collectibles and stuff. And I'll touch base on some of them. I mean, Tim, you would have been in heaven because I must have found 600 Creature from the Black Lagoon items. I mean, ranging from original posters. There was one I took a picture of. I forgot to post it on Instagram. I was going to send it to you. It was like I think it was an original foreign print of it. It was like $650. It was one of those massive ones. Yeah, and there was some little artifacts and some toys and some model kits and I mean, just you name it. There was even like there was a lot of people had some original stuff that they made themselves. Kind of like you encountered at your show too. So, it's almost like sensory overload to where, the convention goes over 3 days. And, to really probably get to everything, if you wanted to see every celebrity and really get to look through all the different things, I think they have some concerts and stuff. You could go the whole 3 days. Me, I can only handle it for about 3 or 4 hours because it gets so packed and so crowded. And I'm someone that likes to kind of move through these things, and I kind of know and I've been through so many of them. I kind of know where to stop, where not to stop, what kind of thing.
Right.
So I kind of, but this one actually, I was surprised. I was like engaged a lot more than I thought I would be with some of the tables because there was just such cool stuff. Like, there was a ton, basically, if I didn't stick to my budget, I could have walked out of it dropping easily $500 because there were so many tables of DVDs and Blu-rays, more so than ever at that show. There used to be like a couple of tables. I remember back in the day because, there was only Blu-rays weren't around the last time I went to this thing. And DVDs were just coming around. And so it was a lot of videos. And it was so funny. There were still videotapes. Some people still had videotapes, even though it'd probably be easier to find this than the actual VCR to play it nowadays. Yeah. But, so there was some cool stuff like that. And, like one seller had all the Friday the 13th novels. They were like the first one I think was $300. That's something I've always wanted to get in my collection. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, I said, even if I put them all together, because he had 1, 2, 3, and 6. I think he had all of them, and they were in great condition. But to ever see all of them, I've seen one here or there. But this guy had all of them, that as far as I know, because I know they only made, I think, 1, 2, 3, and 6. I don't even think they made other ones. So to find those, I think he had the Halloween novel maybe even there. I can't remember. That might have been another table, but so they had a ton of stuff. Just at that table, that was one of the first tables I encountered. So I'm just like, okay, this show is going to be good with stuff. And so I noticed you made a notification of something on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, I saw you mention the Friday the 13th novels. There is a YouTube channel called Audiobooks for the Damned. Just look for it on YouTube. They do unauthorized audiobooks of film novelizations, and they're not all horror. They have some crazy ones on there too. But they do have like Fright Night, the Scanners novelization, the Halloween novelization, and some of the performances, the people that read the book are not professionals.
Yeah.
So you're not getting like professional quality audiobook actors. But if you just want to hear the novelizations of these movies, it's really funny to listen to. And there's actually, I think this has spawned a lot of imitators. So you'll see a lot of people posting their own audiobooks of some of these crazy off the wall movie adaptations. But go check that out.
I'm definitely
ever have some time to kill. It's really fun to look through.
It can't be any worse from the people that listen to me. Your voice is definitely more soothing. Mine's kind of grating. So if they can deal with me once a week, I'm sure they can deal with these guys reading. So I have to listen to that myself and see what that's like. Like I said, so there was a lot of original art stuff there. There was something there. I almost picked this up for you, but you know what? It didn't seem like, wow, there was some cool horror coasters. There was a cool one I was going to get you, but I found something better. But I had told Tim I picked him up 2 things. One thing I'll talk about on the show, but there was another thing I'm leaving for a surprise when I see him next month. So, because it's too good. I think he'll get a kick out of that. But, so, and like I said, there was a lot of cool cosplay. We met some really cool dude. He was dressed up. The best way to describe this is like an orc Sith combination. And he had these 2 red, like, those good quality lightsabers. And I got to post a picture. I didn't get to finish posting all my pictures. So I posed with him. He was posing with everybody. So he let you hold the lightsaber and stuff. And he was really cool. So the guy's name is Scott. And basically, him and his wife, they do this cosplay. They run a thing. Their Facebook is like Married with Cosplay. He does cosplay, birthday parties. They do custom leather work. They do, and they're big into LARPing, actually. And he was telling us they do this thing. It's a site that runs, I guess, this thing. It's www.fairplay.org, which is FAIRE play.org. And so they do a bunch of stuff. So that's cool. Seth and I kept running into him. Like I said, my brother Seth was with me. And I kept running into him and talking with him. It's just a total, really cool dude. And we were just having a ball. And he, people like running up to him and wanting to pose with him, as so it was just like you get a lot at this convention. It was really fun. And then as we were walking through the actual that big room with all the collectibles and the tables and stuff, we ran into a wrestler there. He had his table. His name was Andrew Anderson. You've probably seen him if you see the picture of him. He was actually in the movie The Wrestler. He had a scene in that. And he's known to the wrestling fans out there as the Reinforcer. And he was one of the founders of the NWA Big Apple, which is basically the exclusive New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut division of the NWA there. And he also, and it's great, we were talking to him about, about the podcast and everything, and he was actually really interested in it. So he gave me his contact info, so I'm actually going to try and touch base with him. But he was actually in a horror movie. He started the werewolf in the horror anthology Creepy Tales, Girls' Night Out. So I'm going to have to look that up. And I promised him I was going to actually mention he does have an upcoming show coming up on June 9th. And it's called Heatwave. And it's a portion of the proceeds go to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, which is cool. So, and
awesome.
So I'll post that also on there, some more information on that. It's in Wayne, New Jersey. He's just a really cool guy. We were talking to him for about like 20 minutes. He was just an awesome guy to talk to, and he had some really cool pictures of through his wrestling career and stuff. So it was really neat. Seth bought one like one where he's all bloodied and stuff. So it was really cool. So, and then we got there's another table you would like this guy. You got to look up his stuff. I put the link there. Some of the stuff he does. Called Rick Frayne. He does art and photography, and he has some really cool classic monster stuff. He had a Creature from the Black Lagoon one. He has he does some angels, demons, Asian fantasy, armed and dangerous, erotic and pinup, ghouls, ghoul girls, and some other miscellaneous things. But you can see his artwork on there. He's like kind of like a chiller mainstay. I know a friend of mine, she bought a couple things. She posted on her Facebook page. She bought a couple of classic monster stuff from him. So he's got some really cool artwork. So you may definitely check him out. It's www.rickfrane.com. So if you guys want to check him out, he's really cool. There's another one I found. I didn't really get to talk to them too much, but it just looked like really cool. Sassy's Satellite, which has a bunch of cool pop culture. And Tim's just gone into the rundown as I went in.
I'm looking these up as Brian's talking about them because they're really cool.
Yeah, because we have a share on the Google Doc, so all of a sudden I saw like my thing highlight, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, they got a bunch of cool pop culture toys and collectibles. And then one of the other, this has got to be one of the, I did not get to talk to these guys, although I would have loved to, but they were engaged. And, I know like he was either making a sale or talking about something. So I really want to interrupt him, but I perused his table because all over there was the convention, there was promotion for this one particular movie, which I'll get to, but it's Bill Zebub Productions. And I looked at his site, and he's got the tag King of the B Movies. And you could check his thing out. It's www.billzebubproductions.com. And once again, I'll put his link on there. And so some of his movies that he had is Holocaust Cannibal, and then Nightmare on Elmo's Street. And I'm going to read you the synopsis, what they say on his site, because this is just too great. It says, Nightmare on Elmo's Street is a story of Erin, played by Erin Brown, who I found out, actually, also used to be called Misty Monday, who I think was in a bunch of these, like, I guess those softcore B-movie type of things. But anyway, so she has a crush on her roommate, Lydia, but unfortunately, Lydia is dating a puppet. A vampire puppet. So in this world, puppets coexist with humans. This has not always been peaceful because of the conservative people who believe that the two life forms should live separately. Erin is one such person. And then it keeps going on. The characters in this movie don't seem to understand that one can easily find evidence to support one's belief. That doesn't make something true. It just means that evidence against the beliefs was ignored. So this has got to be. This is one we might have to look into reviewing some of these movies because these are great. And then there's also Santa Claus: A Horror Story.
Of course.
And then here's the one that was promoted. I actually got a little flyer to this one because this one was just way too good not to see. It's called, and I apologize for the language, Dick Shark. And the tagline, the poster for it is great. It's a girl literally opening her mouth with a giant, well, you can imagine a dick shark coming out. So, coming out of the guy's pants in the poster here. So the tagline is, in this story, girls are the one who say, don't use your teeth.
So this is a companion to Teeth.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's like it's the opposite version of Teeth, I guess. And so I have the synopsis for this too. It says, Rachel Crow stars as the woman whose lover has been secretly using penis enlargement cream. It has an unusual side effect that ultimately leads to an abomination. Aaron Brown, also known as Misty Monday, supports her boyfriend, Dick, played by Bill Zebub. Oh, so he's actually in this, okay.
Okay.
Who is a modern-day Victor Frankenstein. The search for the rampaging monster intensifies as more victims fall prey. So if that's gotta be definitely something interesting to watch. And just in case you didn't have enough, apparently in production is Dick NATO. Same company.
That's awesome.
So, I will always give these kind of things a look because how funny is that? It is so great when people just when you do horror comedy well, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
So I think we'll definitely have to look into some of these to see. Although I don't really want to Google Dick NATO. I don't want my search on that to be to be watched by the government.
I don't know if I want to see that.
Yeah.
The concept, but
okay. Maybe it'll just end up on Shudder one day or something. But so another thing I picked up is I saw this right off the bat because of the image as I was walking by the table. It was it looked like it was called Tales from the Gore. It was a comic book, and it looked just like those old EC horror comics that Tim and I had mentioned that we loved on the previous show. And so I picked, it kind of goes, it's proceeds. It was done by, it was a Kickstarter campaign. So I picked one up for Tim and I. That's one of his gifts I picked up for him there. So I'll just read to you a little bit about it. This is from their Kickstarter page. It says, a comic writer and publisher for over 20 years, Adam Talley, and I guess he did Pleasant Life and Star Slam, presents his new project, Tales from the Gore. It's a 24-page tribute to EC horror comic anthologies and features 3 stories, pinups, fake ads, like the old books, and more. It also features the first public work of Olya Stevens, making this book even more special. It says this book theme is zombies, and every story has something to do with zombies, a perfect read for the zombie lover in your life. And then here's what really got me interested when I went up there. The guy was telling me about this. It says, this book also has a special backstory. It's a tribute to their friend and Olya's father, Caleb Stevens. He was a true horror fan who passed away last year. And Caleb is featured in the book as the main character, basically their crypt keeper of sorts, who introduces each story and shows elements from his life. So they're doing this book to celebrate Caleb's life, horror comics from their youth, and all the proceeds after printing will be donated to the Caleb Stevens Memorial Fund and our Lee Rogers Surgery Fund. So that was good. That's I felt like it was only $5 a piece, so it was a no-brainer to me. Pick up a couple copies of that. It goes for a good cause, and I know Tim and I love these kind of comics, and I haven't read it yet. I just leafed through it, but it really is cool. It's all in black and white, but it definitely has that vibe of those old comic books. Just looking.
I can't wait to see that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, I think you'll get it. It was a no-brainer, like I said. I had to get this for us, so that'll be a good one. So yeah, so I guess I'll go move. I mean, it was other stuff we looked at. Like I actually did see a video place that actually was selling Night Warning on DVD, which was I almost pulled the trigger on that. But there were just so many DVD play. They were all like different combos, like buy 3 for $40 or this and that. But I kept hesitating because I wanted to see what else was there, and I figured I'd double back, but never got to. So. But now I guess I'll go into some of the meat of some of the celebrities we got to talk to there. First one we encountered was Alice Krieg. You might know her, obviously, as the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact. She was in Ghost Stories. She was the Imam in Sleepwalkers and Silent Hill. And then my brother Seth, who was big video game and Silent Hill fan. He got all excited, so he went right up there. It was funny. It was like you would have thought Seth was the one to go into these conventions for years because he's like right up there, grabbing a picture, going getting some sign. And so she was super friendly. She posed with us, took a picture, and Seth commented. He's like, well, look at because she's definitely older now than she was in some of these movies. She's like, well, look at you, still rocking the heels, So, she did. She had these heels on, so Seth was impressed, and so we had a good time with her. She was fun. So I posted that picture on Instagram if you guys haven't seen yet, and then so I knew I had kind of an agenda after this. There were a couple of people that I kind of definitely needed to go to visit. First one, of course, was Tom Savini. And if not only for my own benefit, but, get that cool autograph pictures, but to apologize for Tim as he requested.
For my, quote, poor showing.
Yeah, as his poor showing. And so while I was talking to him, I brought that up. I said, you're at the Rock Hill show. My co-host of our podcast was over there, and he wanted to apologize. He was a little bit starstruck there, and Tom Savini's response was, he goes, really? Why? I'm just a guy from Pittsburgh. So typical Tom. He's like the most chill guy. He really is. But I mean, any horror fan will tell you he's not just a guy from Pittsburgh. Come on, he's so iconic.
He's being modest.
Yeah, and I did tell him, which he seemed to get a big smile on his face. I said that Creep Show was our number one downloaded episode so far.
It finally, we didn't mention that, but the Creep Show episode beat the Manitou finally.
The Manitou
has been dethroned.
It's been dethroned. They're going to have to come out with that sequel and hope that they could do that.
Speaking of that, Brian, just while you mentioned that, I read the Manitou novel. Well, I went to get the second one, and the Kindle version does not come out until August 1st.
Oh, so that's good though that it's like still on kind of like a topic,
Yeah, so it will be released, but unfortunately, I can't read it until August 1st. But if you try to get the paperback, they're crazy expensive. So I'm just gonna wait. I'll wait for that Kindle version.
I'm telling you, that is screaming for remake. Talk about I mean, even though the first one had charms, I want them to continue it. Just do it it doesn't have to be a remake of that first one, but I want to take that Manitou principle and kind of get that going again. That's Kickstarter number six or 7th. Whatever. We're losing track. We're gonna need a Kickstarter page just to keep track of our Kickstarters. We'll need a Kickstarter actually to pay for our Kickstarter page, and exactly. One of those.
We'll just do a GoFundMe to pay for our Kickstarter.
Right. Yeah, there we go. See, it's all a circle. Okay. So the next one of the next people I needed to meet, of course, was one of our favorites on the show here, Laura Harrington, which was
Amy Grape.
Yep, Amy Grape. And actually, I have a funny Amy Grape story about that, which I'll get to. So I had to go there because Tim's brother and our good friend here, Kevin Wilson, had requested he wanted me to get her to sign an autograph. So I went and got him a really cool picture, which I posted on the Facebook page, and it's also in the picture we posed with Laura Harrington, where it's actually her and Stephen King just sitting in front of the Dixie Boy set, which I thought was really cool. And I figured that's like twofold, because now Kevin can walk around with this everywhere he goes in hopes to meet Stephen King, and then he'll sign it, and then he's got like instant double his money collected.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah,
right. So I figured that, and so I went up to her, and actually, it was good because we came right at the right time. No one was really into that, made it down to that part of the show as much yet. It seemed like they were hovering around the front, so it was good because this room was kind of clear. So we went in and we got up to her, and I was telling her, we reviewed Maximum Overdrive on the show, and I said, I told her how you and Kevin, I said you grew up there, and that was your, where Deke blew up the restaurant, that was your grandfather's place. So she was like, oh, wow. So she really, intrigued. I said, yeah. I said, they grew up in, they were from Wilmington and stuff like that. So it was good. We had a little talk about that. And she was nice. So she wrote on Kevin's thing. She wrote, because I told her, I said, you have to understand, he is the biggest fan of this movie. Definitely. Mm-hmm. And so she wrote, oh, thanks for being a fan, and on the thing for him. And then Seth had asked her a question. I guess one of his friends knew that she was going to be there, so she asked him to ask her, what was it like to be on the same set as Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio from What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And she said, oh, a funny story about that. So apparently, I guess Leo DiCaprio's mom was thrown off the set of that film. I forgot I kind of missed that part, why, and he was, I guess, between 17 and 18, so he's still a minor at that point. So they needed someone to watch her. So literally, somehow, Laura Harrington got asked if she could watch Leonardo DiCaprio, and she said he kept asking her, hey, come watch me play video games. Hey, watch me do this. So I joked with her. I said, well, how come I didn't, that's something you should have put on your IMDb page as an extra credit there, Also, Leonardo DiCaprio's babysitter. So we got a laugh out of that. And so she was really cool. And we handed her a card also. So for all we know, she could be listening. I hope you are, because Laura Harrington, you were a delight to meet, and you were so awesome. So hopefully you're listening. If not, then if someone's listening and know her, you can tell her. So, and then actually in the same room was the next person I definitely wanted to meet, because as Tim and I mentioned, we really, especially, and actually I think it's a common thread that Halloween 3 is definitely growing in fan status over the years. Mm-hmm. It was looked at one point as kind of like the black eye of the series, but I think
it's gotten quite the reversal over the years.
Yeah,
it's a cult favorite.
Yeah,
now.
I think like now 6 is that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was excited to go see her. So I went up to her, and we she was actually super cool. She was talking about, we found out she was actually from I guess not too far from where I live now on Long Island. So that was kind of cool. And she actually does apparently now she's like a relationship advisor and has her own site called The Daily Affair. She does I think she appears on like Fox News, and she does articles in the Huffington Post and stuff. So she had a lot of cool stuff to picture wise and stuff, but the one I bought is the one I posted. There was a really cool Halloween 3 poster where it actually had kind of like and I had never seen that kind of artwork for that movie. I usually see that.
It was awesome. I couldn't believe when you posted it how cool that was.
Yeah, and I was like, because I'm like, usually you see that one where it says like Season of the Witch, and it shows like the
mm-hmm.
that like kind of like the pumpkin head kind of thing, and the letters, and so I never quite seen a different art for that. So I was like, okay, that's a no-brainer. I mean, of course it was the most expensive thing there, but I definitely had to get it. And I don't know if you could make out what she wrote, but she wrote her line. She goes, where would you like to sleep, Dr. Chalice?
That was awesome.
Yeah, and her big and it's funny, I heard her kind of saying to the guy before us, she was like, because he was like, hey, I don't know what you want to write. And she goes, well, I usually write lines from the film. And she said that one. She goes, that one's usually popular. And she was telling a story, actually, how they had to they threw in that line where she says, I'm much older than I look, because she goes, it actually played that way. It looked like she was so young, and she put Tom Atkins looks so old. That they kind of put that line in there. It was kind of twofold, just to make sure that it didn't look like so super perverted there or something, I guess. So, yeah, so she was cool. And so definitely, I think I've ended up following her on Twitter just to see what if she's going to appear at any more conventions, because she was really fun to talk to. And now in hindsight, I should have just grabbed another one of those posters for you. But I was already I had my mind set on kind of what I was going to pick up for you. So next time, I apologize. Next time I'll pick that poster up for you.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure there'll be many more conventions to come.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so what I wanted to say for last that we talked to, of course, is the amazing Dee Wallace, which Tim had the experience of getting to meet too. And she was actually, I kind of went out of order, but I kind of saved her for the. I mean, it was first Alice Krieg was there, but then we went into Dee Wallace right away because I had to see her, and she had some cool stuff. I forgot to post these pictures too because I wanted to lighten it up a little bit because it came out a little dark. But she had, and they might have had this when you were at the convention. The last one, was she at your last one or no? That was a different one.
No, she was at one called the Wilmington PopCon, which is just a one-off. They tried here and failed spectacularly. But,
okay.
But she was at that one. That's the one I met her at. And that's the one where I got the signed ET picture.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I so she had some people had made some original artwork stuff for her. Like there was a little like Cujo statue someone made. And a little bit, some other cool stuff that I'll put the picture up on Instagram. I'll brighten it up and post it on there. So she had some cool stuff, and it was funny. Right when she got there, she had to, I guess she had to do something. She goes, "Don't worry, I know you guys are first online. I'll be right back." And she runs out. So we were talking to, I guess, to her assistant there for a while and stuff, and we were waiting for her to come back. And by that point, a couple other people lined up. So she came back, and now there's like all these people waiting around her table for her. It was kind of funny, But she, like you said, like everything you said and like more, I think she's just one of the coolest people. You could tell she loves her fans. She loves being around people that just appreciate horror and her work. And I was just looking at her table, all the different pictures she had. You see the scope of the movie she did. There was one I literally almost forgot, and it's one of my favorite films she did was The Frighteners. I forgot about it. You know, and so she had a cool picture from that, and I was almost going to think about getting that one, but then I saw the one that I ended up getting that I posted, where it was a combination Cujo and Howling poster, and I'm like, all right, that's just too cool. And if you saw what she wrote, like, to Brian, bite me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just awesome. You know, it's like, that just shows her kind of sense of humor, and she was cracking jokes the whole time. Like, my brother Seth was very excited because she, him and his wife, they loved that show Supernatural, and she had the episode where she was on it, and I guess she seduced one of the younger brothers on it, and so he said something, he was talking to her about that episode. She goes, yeah, well, I love doing that show, because how often do you get to, you know, I don't know if I get to seduce younger men, you know, except in my shows. And then she had this pause and said, and in real life. So she had the perfect beat. I mean, just her comedy timing is great. You know, she just is so much fun. Like, if you go, is this anyone at these conventions to make sure you stop at, you got to stop at her thing. And, you know, of course, she posed with the pictures for us and had a good time. My brother, Seth, he's always joking around. He goes, well, here, now why don't you pose with another couple of young studs, you know?
Like I said before, she always felt like from E.T., she always felt like, you know, your Hollywood mom type figure, and it was so awesome to meet her in real life and realize she's the same way and that you wanted her to be in real life.
Oh yeah, and you know, there's so many times you'll meet these people. I mean, and everyone like I encountered at the show, I mean, was just awesome. You know, they were so cool, so relaxed, just wanted to, you know, they had fun talking to you, they engaged you. It wasn't like just give me your money, let me sign a picture and get out of here. No, they came around, they would pose with you, you know, engage and talk, have a conversation. It was like, and Chiller like kind of has that vibe anyway, which is the one thing I like about it, you know. And so, you know, and she was just, you know, no exception, but she's like the perfect like person for that type of show where, you know, she just loves talking with her fans, you can tell, and she loves being that person. And, you know, you could just tell, you see the reaction to everyone else, they just get such a kick out of it because it's so fun to see you know, who's literally, I mean, you know, they're screen queens and they're screen queens. I mean, she's to me at another level. She's so, you know, I just hold her in like way up there. You know? It's like there's not even I mean, what's higher than screen queen? You know, it's like, you know,
she's like the Empress.
Yeah, the Empress.
Or something. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, and we actually, I made sure we told her about the podcast too, and I do know she follows us on Twitter now. So if you're listening, welcome and thank you so much. That completely made our day, by the way, when we saw that. Not to get all starstruck and geek out, but yeah, I texted Tim right away. I'm like, yeah, she followed us back. And she retweeted some of the pictures and stuff. So she was just awesome. So thank you. My brother Seth too, who like, he was like so enthralled with this show and everything else, and he couldn't stop talking about how much fun he had talking to her and stuff like that. So it was kind of fun. And I just want to say another big thank you to Seth, by the way. Yeah, he's super Mr. Promotion, I tell you, because I kind of get carried away and I forget things. I had this whole pocket full of our business cards, but I had given him some, which is a good stack too, and he was handing them out to everyone and really talking at the show. So Seth, thank you. It was invaluable, and you know, that was so awesome. And thank you for reminding me to promote the show because Seth was, I mean, literally people that I never thought would be owning a card with my name on it now have it at some point, or at least had it. I don't know what they did with it after the show.
Brian and I would just do the show just for us to listen to, probably.
Oh yeah, we would, and it's just so fun. But so hopefully, if people out there like it, you know, it's like we don't take it too seriously. We just have ball. I mean, the whole point of the show was because Tim and I, we like talking about horror movies. We like cracking jokes. What better for him? So Seth was great at basically promoting that fact. And I tried saying, by the way, it's, you know, we're just starting out. but Seth was great. So thank you again, Seth. And Seth's going to be on the show soon. Like I said, we're going to have him on when we do Evil Dead, because he's a big Evil Dead fan, and he, like I said, he's prepared a surprise mixed drink to go with our beer pairing, because Seth's a bit of a mixologist there. So that
sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
So that should be fun. So and Seth promised me he's going to try and somehow I don't know whether when he meets you, Tim, the first time, or through the podcast somehow, but he says he's destined to jump scare you.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all in all, it was definitely. I mean, I would have loved to spend more time there. It's just it's kind of sometimes it gets so exhausting because it's so crowded there, and this hotel, I swear to God, I don't think they had any air circulating in it. Because I must have lost about 10 pounds in that thing just sweating. But
ironically, it's called Chiller.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just definitely not it's definitely a juxtaposition of what really is going on in there. As people are just sweating so I mean, there's another one coming in October, so I'm definitely going to plan on going to that. Maybe I'll even, try and really do it up and maybe like get the VIP because it gets you in an hour early. Might be able to be easier to kind of peruse through.
Do you know what weekend that is, Brian?
I believe it's usually, I think, the Halloween weekend. Like usually it's like somewhere around the 28th, the 20th, whatever that last weekend before Halloween is. It's then. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to look it up, and I'll keep the deal. As soon as we find the details, I'll make sure.
That'd be cool to do a joint one if I could somehow find a way up there.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
That would be cool. That'd be worth the drive, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we could. Yeah, I mean if we do that, we'll just do it up and get the either the 3-day pass or something, and because I mean it takes me about an hour. It took us about an hour and 15 minutes to get there, of course. But like anyone knows who lives in this area, 3 hours to get home, I think, because getting out of New Jersey is much harder to get in. I swear to God, I think once you get in there, they want to keep you in there or something. I don't know, but yeah, so I mean we do it. We'll go through all 3 days because it's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. But a lot of times Sunday, it's good and bad because a lot of celebrities are gone on the Sunday. However, also you get a lot of discounts on Sunday. So I've been there on both. So you get a lot of people trying to clearance out some stuff. So yeah, no, but that would be something to look out if you can get down there for that. And obviously we have a guest room for you, so you don't even have to worry about getting a place to stay.
So look at that.
And it's the Matt from Yorkshire Suite, as it's now named. So
nice.
He once stayed there, So we have celebrities that stayed in there. No. Apologies to Adam Beard because he stayed in there too once, but
Oh yeah, nice. So that sounds really cool. That's awesome. I was looking forward to hearing about that convention. Well, we got to wrap it up because we'll make it a little shorter show this week. So we're gonna get to last week's trivia question. I'm sorry we didn't do a beer pairing this week, but I just forgot to.
We're really it's such a show that goes back and forth, with different topics. We really have something to pair it with per se. I mean,
this isn't. We don't officially have to do a beer pairing for a non-movie episode.
Yeah,
we did one for the last one just because, but we will do last week's trivia question.
Yeah.
We won't leave you hanging on that.
Yeah, we got to do that.
So the last trivia question was: one person who worked on Blood Diner was nominated for an Academy Award in 2013. Name the person and what they were nominated for. And that person was K.K. Barrett, who was nominated for production design for the movie Her. And I believe that's the movie about the guy that falls in love with the Siri type thing, AI voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, in that basically it's accepted that you could really date your iOS essentially in this. And I happen to love this movie. I've watched it so many times, actually. I was surprised how much I liked it, actually. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is incredible in this. And it's got this, I could see why the production design was nominated because it was really cool. It's got this, cool futuristic type of vibe to it. You're not sure exactly what type of city it is. It's kind of got it looks like almost like a Japan type of thing, but I'm not sure where it is, but
I'm about to check that one out. I never saw that one.
It's good. I think you'll really enjoy it. And it's funny. It runs over 2 hours long, but it doesn't ever, especially for a non-action movie. It doesn't. To me, it never slows. It just kind of, it's always something going on to make it pretty interesting. And this is one funny sequence. He's playing this video game all the time, and with this little animated character that's does nothing but kind of shoot out profanity. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's just really, really good. And plus, you get to hear Scarlett Johansson's voice for half the movie. So, more than half the movie. Yeah, but so it's awesome. Really cool.
Well, we'll run through the annoying part of the show pretty quickly. You can find us at facebook.com/Civil Gore Podcast, Twitter @CivilGorePod. We're on Instagram. And our Gmail address is civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. Stay tuned. We're trying to get our YouTube channel up and running, so you can find all of our archived episodes on the YouTube channel.
Yes, and the website too is in production.
Yep, in production. And we will also have news on a contest pretty soon. We're not quite ready to tease that yet, but we will have a contest involving the iTunes review. So if you get a chance to leave us an iTunes review, do that as well.
Yeah, you definitely want to start iTunes reviewing, because that'll be one piece of this contest. So that's your hint.
Yeah, if you do it now, you get a head start on it. So.
Right.
All right. So it's been fun talking to you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.